Welcome back, everyone. Today we're diving into something huge. The Avengers Doomsday CinemaCon trailer has finally leaked, and even though it's not officially released in HD, the details coming out of it are more than enough to understand one thing clearly. Marvel is shifting direction in a big way. Before we start the video, make sure to subscribe to the channel and like the video to stay updated on everything related to Avengers Doomsday. Because what's happening right now isn't just another Marvel update. It's something that could redefine the entire MCU. This doesn't feel like just another Avengers movie. It feels like a continuation of something unfinished. One of the most important things revealed is that Avengers Doomsday is being treated as a direct sequel to Avengers Endgame. Not just thematically, but structurally. That means instead of focusing heavily on everything from Phase 4 and Phase 5, Marvel is going back to its strongest foundation, the emotional and narrative weight of Endgame. And honestly, that makes sense. A lot of casual fans disconnected after Endgame. There were too many shows, too many side stories. So now Marvel seems to be pulling everything back into one central storyline, something easier to follow, but much bigger in scale. Now, let's talk about what we actually see in the leaked footage. One of the standout moments is Thor. Thor is no longer just the powerful Avenger we know. He feels like a war general now. Someone who has seen too much, lost too much, and understands the scale of what's coming. In the trailer, he's trying to unite different groups of heroes, and that's where things get really interesting. Because there isn't just one Avengers team anymore. There are multiple factions. You've got the New Avengers, the Wakandans, the Fantastic Four, and other separate groups, all existing but not united. And that's the problem. There's tension, disagreement, ego clashes. Thor steps into this situation clearly frustrated, not because the enemy is strong, but because the heroes are divided. And then comes one of the most powerful lines from his speech. He basically says that he has fought alongside warriors far stronger than all of them combined, and they still died. But even those past threats don't scare him as much as what's coming now.
Think about that.
Thor has faced gods, monsters, entire armies, and yet, whatever is coming in Doomsday scares him more than anything before. That alone tells you the level of danger. He warns them that if they don't stand together, everything that was sacrificed before will mean nothing. All the deaths, all the battles, wasted. And this is where the emotional depth kicks in. Because this isn't just about saving the world anymore. It's about proving that everything they went through had meaning. While Thor is trying to unite everyone, there's another layer happening in the background. Something much bigger. We see visuals of multiple worlds. Not just one Earth, but different versions of Earth. It looks like 3 separate realities are starting to collide. This connects directly to the concept of incursions, when universes begin to overlap and eventually destroy each other. And this changes everything. Because now, the problem isn't just one villain or one threat. It's reality itself breaking apart. And what's even more interesting is how characters are able to move between these worlds. Normally, traveling between universes requires something powerful, like America Chavez's abilities or specific multiverse tech. But here, it seems like the universes are getting so close that travel becomes possible naturally. Almost like the barriers are disappearing. This could explain how Thor and others reach different worlds, including the X-Men universe. And yes, that's another huge reveal. The X-Men are part of the story, but not in a simple way. At first, there are conflicts between the different groups. Imagine that, heroes fighting heroes, not because they're enemies, but because they don't understand each other yet. That kind of tension adds a completely new dynamic to the MCU. Now, let's talk about one of the biggest surprises, Dr. Doom, voiced by Robert Downey Jr. Yes, the same actor who played Tony Stark is now stepping into one of Marvel's most iconic villain roles. But what's fascinating is that his voice, his tone, it's completely different. This isn't Tony Stark. This is something colder, more controlled, more dangerous. In the trailer, he delivers a line that sets the tone for everything. Something is coming, something they might not be able to stop. And when that moment arrives, they'll have to make an impossible decision. And that decision? It's about survival. Not just their own, but which world deserves to survive. Because in an incursion scenario, 2 worlds collide, and one has to be destroyed to save the other. Let that sink in. This isn't about defeating a villain. This is about choosing who lives and who dies. And that's where the story becomes truly dark. Dr. Doom might not just be a villain here. He could be someone shaped by loss. There are strong hints that his motivations are connected to an incursion that destroyed his own world, possibly killing his family. If that's true, then everything he does comes from pain, and that makes him even more dangerous. Because a villain driven by emotion is unpredictable. And when someone like Doom believes he's right, there's no stopping him. At the same time, we also get hints about Steve Rogers. Chris Evans is back. And not just as a cameo, but as a key part of the story. There are strong implications that his past actions, especially traveling through time and living in another timeline, might have contributed to the multiverse instability. In simple terms, his choices could be one of the reasons these incursions are happening. That adds a whole new layer to his character. Because now, he's not just a hero. He might also be part of the problem. And if Dr. Doom blames him for everything, then this isn't just a battle. It's personal. Now let's go deeper, because what we've discussed so far is just the surface. The real impact of this trailer comes from the connections it creates between past events, character choices, and the future of the entire MCU. Let's start with Steve Rogers. One of the most powerful moments hinted at in the leaked footage is his return, and not just as a nostalgic cameo, but as a meaningful presence in the story. When he appears, it's not immediately accepted. There's confusion, doubt. Even Thor doesn't believe it's really him at first. But then comes the moment that changes everything. Steve calls Thor's hammer back to his hand. And just like that, doubt disappears. This is more than just a cool visual callback. It's symbolic. It confirms that this is still the same Steve Rogers, still worthy, still the same person at his core. But at the same time, he's not exactly the same. There's a noticeable difference in his appearance. Longer hair, a heavier beard. It suggests that time has passed differently for him. That he's lived through experiences we haven't seen yet. And that raises an important question. Where has he been? Because if he stayed in another timeline, lived a full life there, and then somehow returned, then his story is much bigger than we thought. And more importantly, his actions might have had consequences across the multiverse. This connects directly to the idea of incursions. We already know from previous MCU explanations that moving between timelines and realities can destabilize them. The more impact you leave behind, the higher the risk of universes colliding. So if Steve created a branch timeline and lived in it for years, then he didn't just live a peaceful life. He may have unintentionally triggered something catastrophic. And this is where Dr. Doom's motivation becomes clearer. If Doom lost his world, his family, because of an incursion, and if he believes that Steve's actions played a role in causing it, then everything becomes personal. This isn't just about saving worlds. This is about revenge. And revenge, when mixed with power and intelligence, becomes something extremely dangerous. Now, let's go back to Thor for a moment. There's another key scene where Thor actually confronts Dr. Doom in battle. And this isn't a normal fight. This is a demonstration of power levels. At one point, Thor attacks with Stormbreaker, and Doom stops it effortlessly. No struggle, no resistance, just stops it. If you remember Thor, Ragnarok, Hela did something similar when she destroyed Mjolnir. That moment redefined how powerful she was. And now Doom is getting that same kind of introduction. This tells us something very important. Doom isn't just smart. He's overwhelmingly powerful. The kind of powerful that changes the rules of the fight. Now shifting to another major element, the team dynamics. We talked about how there are multiple groups of heroes, but here's where things get even more complicated. These teams don't trust each other. When they first meet, especially across different worlds, there's confusion, fear, and even hostility. And that leads to conflict. At one point, it's suggested that the MCU heroes and the X-Men actually fight each other before eventually realizing they need to unite. This is a classic but effective storytelling device. Heroes clashing not because they're enemies, but because they don't understand the bigger picture yet. And once they do, that's when things shift. But even then, unity doesn't come easily. Because each team has its own priorities, its own world to protect. And that brings us back to the central dilemma of the movie. If two worlds are about to collide, which one do you save? There's no right answer. Only consequences. This is what makes Avengers Doomsday feel different from previous Marvel movies. It's not about good versus evil in a simple way. It's about impossible choices, moral conflict, and the weight of responsibility. Now, let's touch on another subtle but important detail: new footage being added to Avengers Endgame. Yes, Marvel is reportedly planning to re-release Endgame with additional scenes that connect directly to Doomsday. And this isn't just for marketing, it's for storytelling. These new scenes are likely going to explain the origins of incursions more clearly and possibly show how past actions, especially Steve's, set everything in motion. In a way, they're rewriting the meaning of Endgame. What we thought was the conclusion might actually have been the beginning. And that's a bold move. Finally, let's talk about the overall direction. Everything we're seeing points toward a larger plan, one that leads into Avengers Secret Wars. Doomsday feels like the setup, the escalation, the moment where everything starts falling apart. And Secret Wars? That will be the resolution. But before we get there, we're going to see worlds collide, heroes fall, and truths come out. This isn't just another phase of Marvel. This is a reset, a restructuring of the universe. And if done right, it could bring back everything that made the MCU special in the first place: strong characters, emotional storytelling, and high-stakes consequences. So as we wait for the official trailer to drop in full quality, one thing is clear. Avengers Doomsday isn't just about saving the world. It's about deciding which world deserves to be saved. And sometimes, that's the hardest choice of all.